Business reporter.
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, critics have criticized nga yung budget process for this year na parang medyo naging tokenistic in nature yung mga budget reforms that you forwarded. What steps could you or the committee take to ensure that the budget process reforms you have initiated uh, could be more concrete and tangible in the next budget process?
Thank you very much po. Actually, during my manifestation before the third reading approval of the General Appropriations Bill, I have been very open about that this is the very first time that we've done this. This is the very first time that the House has engaged with civil society organizations, particularly in terms of the budget. And admittedly, there are particular aspects of the process that we would still need to refine moving forward. At hiningi ko din po yung pasensya ng ating mga partners sa civil society sapagkat alam ko po na may mga pagkakataon na hindi kasing lapit yung engagement model as they would have expected. And the assurance that I would give to our partners in the civil society would be moving forward in the period between this budget season and the next budget season. I would more closely coordinate with them. Tulad po ng ginawa ko ng People's Budget Review, tinanong ko po sa kanila papaano pa natin pwedeng mapaganda yung proseso. And I will be very happy to work closely with them over the next months to refine our engagement models para po sa susunod na budget cycle ay mas maganda na po, mas bukas, mas transparent, mas malapit yung ating engagement sa kanila. Actually, ayoko pong hintayin pa yung sunod na budget cycle eh. I know that the Bicameral Conference Committee is coming up and a lot of the civil society organizations are also advocating for greater engagement, greater transparency in the BICAM process. So between now and the BICAM, around December, I'll reach out to our friends in civil society to discuss how else we can refine our engagement models.
And on the unprogrammed appropriations naman po, can you explain why the House retained nearly all of the unprogrammed appropriations despite making it seem like tens of billions was cut from standby funds nga po? Ayun.
Opo. Tulad po ng pinakita natin kanina, sa ilalim po ng unprogrammed appropriations, there are 11 purposes for unprogrammed appropriations. And the reason why we retained the majority of it would be because these are necessary funds that would need to be put on standby for fiscal year 2026. As showed earlier, roughly 54% of the in-programmed appropriations pertain to foreign assisted projects, and that would be something that we would really need to have on standby. The other part of it would be those pertaining to strengthening assistance to social programs amounting to 45 billion pesos. As you can see po, nakalagay naman po kasi yon nakaabang po yon para sa PhilHealth, sa DepEd, sa DOH, sa DOLE, at sa CHED. So these are items that would be necessary and would be very helpful for the country. And lastly po, sa AFP modernization, actually po, as also explained earlier, mas malaki pa nga po yung funding requirement as per the AFP modernization law. So there's 40 billion under programmed appropriations right now, 50 billion under unprogrammed appropriations. We still have around, I think, 20 to 30 billion deficit despite having this in unprogrammed appropriations. So kung titignan po kasi natin, kung hihimayan din po natin yung utilization rate ng unprogrammed appropriations nitong mga nakadaang taon, hindi naman po talaga nagagamit yung or hindi po napopondohan yung kadamihan ng unprogrammed appropriations. Naglalagay lang po tayo ng line item doon para lang po may legal basis. Kung sakali magkakaroon po ng kadagdagang pondo o kadagdagang kita ang ating gobyerno, meron po tayong legal basis na pondohan itong mga programa na ito. So, we retained the unprogrammed appropriations, but we also are very adamant in putting in safeguards. Nakita po natin, paulit-ulit po na nakatalakayan sa ating mga deliberasyon na isa po sa mga pinaka-questionable na item sa ilalim ng unprogrammed appropriations ay yung dating tinatawag na sagip. At ang dahilan po kung bakit questionable yon dahil ang dami pong nabatak doon ng mga flood control projects at iba pa ng mga infrastructure projects na dapat sana ay nakalagay sa ilalim ng programmed appropriations. Kaya yun po yung ating ginawa. Opo, atin pong pinanatili yung level ng unprogrammed appropriations, pero sinigurado po natin na may sapat na safeguards, may sapat na panangga laban sa pang-aabuso. Tulad po ng binanggit ko, hindi na po pwedeng bumatak ng flood control, ng kalsada at ng tulay mula po sa dating tinatawag na sagip. So ang pwede na lang po ng mga infrastructure projects would be infrastructure projects pertaining to foreign assisted projects.
The next question comes from
Isa
Ms.
po.
Lianes Capanti of...
Last follow-up po.
sorry.
Sorry, may bagong line item kasi under unprogrammed appropriations, yung government counterpart for foreign assisted projects. Could you differentiate anong pinagkaiba nung support to FAPS and itong government counterpart
Apo.
for FAPS?
I'll flash the slide po. I think share. Ayan po. Dito po, as you can see, the first item that was mentioned would be number 3, support to foreign assisted projects, and 4 would be government of the Philippines counterpart of foreign assisted projects. Bawat foreign assisted project may dalawang component. Yung una po would be the loan proceeds. Yung loan proceeds po, yun po yung ipinopondo galing po doon sa ating international partner. So yun po yung galing sa JICA, galing sa COICA, galing sa ADB, galing sa World Bank. Yun po yung loan proceeds. At yung loan proceeds po nakapaloob sa number 3. Yung pangalawang sangay po ng foreign assisted projects would be what you call GOP counterpart. Ibig sabihin po, sa agreement, may parte po na sagot ng ating international development partner, may parte na sagot ng ating bansa. Para din po yung mga counterpart projects ng mga local government units dito po sa ating bansa. Usually, halimbawa po kung magtatayo ka ng rice processing center sa isang probinsya, may 10% na counterpart yung mga LGUs. Parang ganun din po yung modelo ng foreign assisted project. So that's the reason why for the same project, there is always a loan proceeds component and there is a GOP counterpart component. So yun po yung diferensya ng number 3 at number 4.
Kong, sorry.
Nasel si ano muna.
Connected
Tina
lang
muna,
doon.
Sandali
Ma'am,
lang.
Yes po.
yung connected to the question of Kenneth,
Yes,
why was it not in the NEP?
Apo. Tulad po ng nabanggit kanina, may dalawa po kasi, there are 2 criteria that would need to be satisfied for foreign assisted projects to be incorporated into the NEP. So the first would be during the budget preparation stage, there would need to be a perfected contract or perfected agreement with our international development partner. The second criteria po would be this particular perfected contract or agreement would need to be approved by the NEDA board. And the only reason why these projects are not in programmed appropriations is that these projects were not approved on time or ongoing pa po yung kanilang negotiation. So again, the ideal scenario would be to have all of these foreign assisted projects under programmed appropriations. Pero yun lang po yung dahilan. Halimbawa po, ito pong DSWD and DOH sa baba. Yung DOH po, ongoing FAPS na po yan. Pero hindi po na-approve yung extension ng loan in time. For DSWT po, it was a newly approved loan last October 7 lang po. So that's the reason why pinasok po muna siya sa unprogrammed appropriations. And then, yun po, hindi po siya nakapasok sa deadline para sa programmed appropriations.
Ma'am, pero bakit po yung amount is the exact amount na nagko-correspond doon sa infrastructure projects from Sagip?
Kasi dati po, actually, inayos po yan ng DBM. Kasi dati naipasok nila sa sagip yung GOP counterpart. So yung 35 billion na GOP counterpart, yung linipat natin dito po sa GOP counterpart, ito pong number 4, naipasok po ng DBM yan doon sa strengthening assistance, yung dating sagip. So, yun po yung dahilan. Ngayon kasi, since we're already disallowing infrastructure from the first purpose, that is the reason why we transferred it as a Government of the Philippines counterpart. I understand po, ma'am, the concern, and I also raised that to the DBM, that since it's a foreign-assisted project, it shouldn't go under SAGIP. So, yun po. I understand that, ma'am. That's why we put it out. And mas tama na po itong ginawa natin. May safeguard po tayo. That way, wala na pong pwedeng infra na mabatak mula po sa purpose number 1.
Thank you.
Thank you very much po.
Nasel, your
Hello,
turn.
good afternoon, ma'am. Yanes Kapanti of GMA News Online. Ma'am, kasi SP Soto already said, and Senator Win Gatchalian, they said they want the unprogrammed appropriations removed. Ang gusto lang nilang itira yung FAPS. How do you respond to that? I'm assuming you'll be part of the BICAM as the APRO chair. So how would you deal with that kung ganun yung maging stand ng Senate? What are the implications if that will be the case kung yun lang, FAPS lang?
Yes po. Thank you po. So actually, I'm very much open to discussing with the Senate in terms of how we can potentially rationalize the contents within unprogrammed appropriations. But as you can see here po, there are other programs po kasi that would really need to be there. For example po, aside from FAPS, we would need to maintain budgetary support for government-owned and controlled corporations. Because if we don't have these, we can have commitment penalties. So, yun lang po. I would be very open to discussing with them as to why particular programs can be rationalized. Perhaps one thing that they can look at, instead of totally removing AFP modernization, we can talk about reducing the 50 billion. Parang ganun po. So rather than zeroing out the particular items under unprogrammed appropriations, one option is to explore reducing it. So yun po. I believe it has to be a ongoing conversation on the part of the House and on the part of the Senate, because also DBM and Malacanang have been very, very vocal about this, na may mga particular na programa po sa ilalim ng unprogrammed appropriations na kailangang i-maintain. So, I would be very happy to discuss with the Senate. So, hindi naman po sarado sa parte ng House na kailangan po itong buong 243 billion pesos ay manatili. Hindi po yun saradong usapin. Sana din po sa parte din po ng Senado, sana hindi din po saradong usapin na ang ititira lang talaga sa unprogrammed appropriations ay yung FAPS at wala nang iba. Kasi base po sa huli ko pong narinig mula po sa aking pong counterpart sa Senado, ang chairman po ng Committee on Finance, I believe Senator Win Gatchalian mentioned that he's looking at retaining FAPS, only those FAPS projects with ODA or official development agreements. And the amount that was mentioned was around 40 to 50 billion pesos only. So I would like to have that conversation with Senator Gatchalian as to how they came up with that figure. Because in terms of our computation, the total for FAPS would be around 133 billion. And in terms of those programs that have finalized ODAs, we are looking at around 85 billion pesos. So yun po siguro yung mga kailangan nating pag-usapan na papaano po natin pwedeng i-rationalize. Ulitin ko po, hindi po saradong usapin sa parte ng Kamara. Hindi naman po namin sinasabi na kailangan i-retain yung buong 243 billion pesos. We are open to discussions with the Senate on how we can rationalize the items under unprogrammed appropriations.
Thank you po. Ma'am, yung second question ko about yung 13.8 billion for scholarships na saan po siya galing? Kasi 'di ba yung 12 billion special provision, I understand. yung sa UACTEP. But yung 13.8 billion additional scholarships,
Apa.
galing po ba yun ng DPWH?
Yes
Or-
po. Kabuuan po nito, kabuuan po ng 13 billion pesos ay nagmula po sa 255.5 billion pesos na binatak mula po sa DPWH. Yung 12 billion pesos po kanina, yung sa deficiency to SUCs, hindi po lahat yun sa special provision lang. 7.8 billion pesos po ay galing po sa special provision ng HEDF, and the remaining 4.4 billion pesos was also funded from the 255 billion pesos of DPWH. So in total po, we were able to pull an additional 18.2 billion pesos for scholarships from the 255 billion pesos from flood controls in DPWH.
Last na po on my part, yung 113 billion po for PhilHealth, what does this mean for PhilHealth members? Like, I think most of us here.
Opo. Thank you, Ma'am Yanesca. I actually have been trying to press PhilHealth to I've manifested that several times during all the hearings and during the BARC deliberations even, that sa akin pong parte, tatlo po sana yung gusto kong makita na gagawin ng PhilHealth. Doon po sa 113 billion pesos na ating pong ipagkakatiwala sa kanila. Una po, sana mas mapalawak nila, mas mapataas nila yung benefits package para sa mga pasyente. Pangalawa, sana po mas mapababa nila yung premium para po sa mga direct contributors. At pangatlo po, sana mabayaran nila yung kanilang mga obligasyon sa mga ospital. Yun po yung tatlo na gusto po sana naming makita galing po sa PhilHealth. And one of the manifestations that I gave is that we even gave PhilHealth a deadline to give us a detailed analysis of how they can actually improve the benefits package. I still need to talk to PhilHealth kasi po nung nakita namin yung expansion na balak nilang gawin, medyo sa mata po ng Kongreso, medyo hindi pa po sapat yun. Kasi gusto po sana namin, kung naalala nyo po, nung deliberation, hinihingi ko po mas mapataas ng sobra yung kanilang binibigay para sa angiogram at angioplasty. Ngayon po kasi parang 9,000 pesos lang yata yung binibigay nila para sa angiogram, at alam naman po natin na minimum 50,000 pesos yung angiogram. So yun po yung tatlo na gusto ko makita na gagawin ng PhilHealth, at medyo kailangan pa po naming, medyo dikdikin pa po yung PhilHealth para makuha yung commitment nila dito. Thank you po.
Next, Haj.
Hi, Kong Mika. Magandang
Hi, Sir
hapon po.
Haji.
Ma'am, there was a senior minority lawmaker na who urged President Marcos to replace the DBM chief. Ang pinopoint out po kasi niya, parang may negligence, extreme negligence and gross incompetence on their part, especially sa mga nakalipas po na budget 2023, 2024, and then 2025. Of course, you've worked with DBM officials, particularly Secretary Amina Pangandaman for the 2026 budget. But question is, meron po bang based on your observations and yung pakikipagtulungan po ninyo sa DBM, may mga pagkakataon po ba na may ganoon na issues surrounding DBM? I mean, ano po masasabi ninyo sa mga DBM officials na nakatrabaho po ninyo? Kasi parang sinasabi, replacing the DBM chief would send a strong message na kung talagang serious daw po ang administration for reforms sa budget process.